Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in the previous video, we have been through the different part of a build. Now we will be covering about what is Jenkins Workspace and how a Jenkins Workspace work and what are the agents, or we can call them Jenkins slaves. So what are Jenkins slaves or Jenkins agent, and how can we add our own Jenkins agent? So let's get started. So far we have just executed this job, we have been through these builds, we have checked their console and just done some basic stuff. But see, currently the Jenkins is running on my machine, so it is using or executing these command on my machine itself. But let's say there is some another machine which I want to add to this Jenkins server and run my stuff there. Now here is a simple example that why you should use an Jenkins agent. Let's say you are testing a program that runs on Windows as well as on Linux OS. So now you have to test the same on two different operating systems. So you can add both your machines to the Jenkins server and you can execute the same job on the different machines, or in Jenkins language you can say you can run the same program on two different agents. Now before moving towards adding the agent, let's look on what is Jenkins credentials, or how can we add credentials to our Jenkins server, because if we are trying to add another machine, then this machine should be having its own username, its own password. So we will be adding the credentials first and then we will be moving towards adding the agent. So Jenkins credentials are basically a concept to store your secrets. It can be a text, it can be a file, it can be a pair of username and password. So you can add as many secrets as you want. To add a credential in the Jenkins, you first had to go on the dashboard, or you can hit on manage Jenkins button. So once you hit on manage Jenkins button, you scroll little down, or you will be able to see this option named as manage credentials. So click on this button. In Jenkins we can have multiple scope of credentials. Let's say you want to restrict this credential to be used with specific things it's only. So you can create multiple domains and create the credential inside that domain itself so that it won't be visible globally. This is a better step towards the security, that if you do not want your credential to be used globally, you can restrict the same. So let's check out both. Now for the system you have to create a domain, let's say test system, and hit the create button. Once I have the domain created, so any credential that will be added in this domain will be visible to the people who are using this domain. So let's, and here you will see the add credential button, and so there are multiple type of credentials. Username with password, it is clearing itself that you will be creating a key pair with a username and its password. Now it can be used either to connect the agents, it can be used in the automation to log in website with a set of pair and something like that. Then you can add your GitHub app ID, you can add a secret file. Let's say you want to add your private SSH keys of an automation machine or something like that. Then you can add a secret text. Let's say you just want to add some sort of token, so it can be as the secret text. If you want to add some sort of PEM file, those are like basically certificates authentication mechanism, so you can add them here. And there are some other secrets supported by Jenkins, you just have to install the plugins. In our case we will be using username and password, so let's go. The machine which I will be connecting with Jenkins is with user root, and its password will be this will. Now here you can basically specify that you want your credential to be used on specific machine, or it can be utilized by any Jenkins module, let's say in a step, in a post step or anything. If you do not want people to see this username as well, you can hide it as well in form of secret. And then in ID you have to specify the ID. Now this ID is something with which we will be referring this credential. It's kind of a variable name, or you can say a text from which people can remember it. In our case I will be naming it as linux-agent, linux-agent, and description, let's say this, just for the understanding. And let's create this credential. Now you can see it is displaying root is the username and it's hiding the password, then the type of the password, then the description, and here's the ID which we will be referring. Now let's click this username treat as secret button. If I save this, you can see now in the credential section it's not displaying me the name or like root as its name, it's just showing the description. Now this is a credential which we will be using to connect the agents. There are other secrets which we will be using further. Now for connecting the agent, we have multiple options in Jenkins. Let me first navigate to the agent add section. We have to go back to the manage Jenkins and we have to look for the tab named as manage nodes and Jenkins. Node is just another name of machine or agent, you can say. Here we have two options. So if you have a machine and you want to add that machine as an agent, you can add that. Configure cloud means if you have subscription of a cloud provider, let's say Azure, AWS, GCP, OpenStack, and any private cloud you might have. You can add the cloud configuration in these section and you can utilize them. You have to like install the plugin for sure. Let's say if you want to use Azure cloud, you have to add the Azure cloud plugin. In our case, I have a machine. I will be adding that only. To add a machine, of course, we need the credential to be added in the Jenkins. We have done that. Another thing you need to set up is on the machine. In our case, this is the machine which I will be adding, and you need to have Java 11 installed on the same. This is a command that will be displaying the version of the package. rpm-qa grep open jdk, and you see I have the Java 11 open jdk. The second thing which I will be needing is of course the IP address. So IPA, this is a command that will be giving me the IP address of the machine, and here I have the same. Now let's go back to the Jenkins. So this is the button that I will be using, or we can use to add the machine. Now first it will ask that okay, what will be the node name. So let's say Linux agent, and of course it will be a permanent agent creating this node. This node, now number of executor, it means how many jobs can run on this machine at a single time. So let's say 2 jobs can run. It's on you how many you want to define. Remote root directory basically means a directory where Jenkins will be keeping its file during the test execution or during the program execution. I will be giving it as /tmp/, so use this directory for doing your stuff. Then label is something to which we will be referring this agent in future. Let's say agent 1. Uses is something which you should give attention to. Use this node as much as possible. If someone is not specifying that where they want to run their job, the job will be executed on this agent. And if you say only build job with the label expression, it means in the job, if anyone has given this label, then only execute the job on this machine. Now there are multiple ways to connect agents. Some of them are like connecting the agents by hitting some command, by running some command on the agent itself or on the machine itself. For these you can use either these launch agent by connecting it to the controller method, or you can use this command to execute. So both are quite similar. There is a file, a .var file, basically a Java binary that will be provided to you. You have to paste that on the machine and hit a command from there so that it will be connecting to the Jenkins. But what the method which we will be using is the SSH one. Now for this again you have to provide the IP address, which I have copied. Then credential. So here you will see that okay, I am getting the description of the credential I added. So this is the credential used for Linux agent. Let me click here, and host will be again this one. So now the credential itself has the username like root and the credential which I added for the root user. And in the advanced you will basically see the SSH configurations. You do not have to worry about that. Non-host verification strategy basically verifies that the key is added or not. These are the options to tell Jenkins that when you have to connect to the agent. This one says that keep it connected every time. Next one says schedule based on the schedule. So you define a time that okay, connect to this agent at this time. Then the next is that whenever someone specify the label of this agent, then only bring it online, otherwise keep it disconnected, just to prevent some cost cutting and those kind of things. But in our case it's our own machine, so we can keep it connected every single time. Now let's launch this agent. So okay, it is showing the logs, and this is the log section. Basically copied the SSH connection, I have given it the credential, It basically copies the jar file on the machine. It basically verify the remoting directory exists or not. In our case, it will be /tmp. And it finally it says that, okay, the agent is connected successfully. Now here I'm getting these options to launch agent and delete agent and configure the same. Or build history basically means what existing jobs has executed on this node, or the statistic basically load which is given by Jenkins on this agent, and the logs of the things which Jenkins is doing on the machine. Now if I go to the dashboard, you can see this agent here as well. Linux agent is being successfully connected, and it has two executor means how many jobs it can run on it at a single time. Now if we go back to the manage Jenkins and manage nodes, now you can see that the agent which we added is also listed here, and it is displaying all the basic info like the architecture or the OS version, syncing, the swap and all other things. And here's another button if you directly want to configure or change anything, let's say changing executor to port. So this is pretty much about adding an agent to the Jenkins. Now let us change our job configuration to use this agent, and in Freestyle it can be done something like this. You just have to open the job, you have to go to the configuration, and in the configuration of this job you will be seeing this option named as restrict, where this project can be run. So here basically we specify the label of the agent which we just added, and we have named it as agent1. Yeah, it is already popping itself, so select this one, and let's do some stuff so that we can identify that it is actually running on the agent itself. Before doing that, let me quickly show you that if there's anything present on that machine as of now. So let's go to the machine, and I have already done the listing of all the content inside the /tmp directory, and you can see there is nothing apart from these bunch of files not related to Jenkins. Now let us create a file here that basically can be done via touch command, touch xyz.txt. Now it will create this file inside the agent because we have specified you have to run the job on this machine. And the next step, we have to remove the clean environment option from here, because otherwise it will delete that file. So let's close this, and now it will not clean the same. Let's apply the changes, and let me open it in the new tab. Here let me build it. Now it will say okay, the 9th build has started and completed as well. Now let's check out the console. Now here you will see the difference that currently it's running it on the Linux agent, and this is the name which we gave to the agent. And in Workspace basically this is the directory where it will be storing its content. So if you remembered, we added /tmp as a root directory in the agent configuration. Then this is a Jenkins way of creating the directories. Then it will create a directory name as Workspace inside that root directory. Then it will create a directory with the job name. In our case the job name is my freestyle job. It is visible here as well. So it will create that directory. So it will create this chain of directory, and there it will perform its task. So currently there were no files, so there is nothing that is coming in the output of ls, and it's showing the present working directory which will be the workspace of this job itself. And it has created a file here, so let's check the same in our machine. That is the file actually created there. And now if we do ls/tmp, you can see we have a directory named as workspace here. Now let's ls this as well, and okay, it is listing there is a directory named as my freestyle job as well. Let's list that as well, and here you see we have our file created successfully. These are just the basic stuff which I have done using an agent. There can be tons of things that a Jenkins agent can do, and this is how you manage your credentials and agents in the Jenkins. These are the pretty basic things which we did, and it can of course handle way more complicated tasks. But for this video that's all. If you have any questions or you are having any issue in connecting your agent, adding your credentials, feel free to drop a comment in the comment box. We can collaborate on that. And yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching.